Hi there. You've probably heard of the amygdala as it's associated with our human fight or flight mechanism. But there is a much more simple way of describing the actions or the way the amygdala works in a practical sense, and that it actually works as a pattern recognition system, and on the most basic level it works in a binary way. It's either searching for something that's familiar or something that is not familiar. And if it's something that's familiar and is threatening, life-threatening, then it will try to protect us in some way. Or if something is unfamiliar, it will cause a sort of a caution, or potentially see that as a threat. Now, why is this a worthy topic? If you think about the obstacles that maybe we see in life, or some of those, in our more conscious moments, we do see as irrational fears, it would begin to explain why we have those. And if we can begin to see that our amygdala is actually only making judgments for us in terms of familiar and unfamiliar, then we can begin to retrain, in a way, our amygdala to actually help us in certain situations if we have goals and a larger vision that we'd like to achieve, and begin to normalize some of those so-called irrational fears. There's a quotation to say that the Jesuits would say that if you gave them a child up until 7, then they'd have that child for the rest of their lives. Now let's say our amygdala is most easily trained up until about the age of 7. I suspect it is older than that. But if we see our amygdala as a significant part of our unconscious, then we have, or we begin to have, a wider range of choices. Now, it also, let's say, advertisers, which I don't want to go into too much because that expands the topic of this video too widely. The part of our consciousness that they are trying to speak to in some way, and quite often this is, via metaphor, because we also respond to metaphors and stories and analogies. But if our basic instincts are governed quite largely by the amygdala, what is familiar and unfamiliar, then it becomes extremely useful to us if we can retrain in certain areas, maybe things that we have an unconscious anxiety towards, something like public speaking. On one level, we're told and can understand in many ways which one of the greatest fears we have as humanity. I suppose in a way where we're standing up in front of a number of people, and it can be many people, and many years ago, hundreds of years ago, that may have got you killed. So you can understand why that's an inbred fear. And also, as children, as babies, we pick up anxieties from probably our mothers or those closest to us, and as children, we learn from those who are around us, and then as soon as we start school, what are we being taught and in a way programmed as we develop up into and beyond that age of 7. The main point I wanted to get across in this video is that if we begin to think of the amygdala as simply familiar and unfamiliar, that makes the possibilities of retraining ourselves via our amygdala maybe a more simple process. And this particularly interests me in relation to the fast changes that I know are possible within people, but this is an actual explanation. And also, another topic I don't particularly want to get into too much, but it's worth having in the back of your mind. It's like not necessarily choosing to watch horror films. I mean, I like a good thriller and I love a good mystery film. But I choose not to watch psychological thrillers because they play with our minds in ways that we probably wouldn't choose to have our minds played with if we really thought about it or the implications. So, I hope this empowers you in some way, that maybe something you've been procrastinating over or you avoid in some way, whether you're conscious of that or not. But if you begin to think in terms of, well, okay, this may be my amygdala, a pattern that I've learned away in the world that does not serve me now. If I can begin to see this as, okay, on some level, this is either familiar to me, to my amygdala, and it's trying to keep me safe in some way, or it's unfamiliar to my amygdala, and it's making me cautious in some way. Now, of course, every situation is going to be unique. But I just hope this gives you something to think about, not just for yourselves, but maybe for your children and also in your business. It's as if, are you clear? Is your amygdala fully on board with your vision and your goals? Are the people, maybe your staff or employees, is their individual amygdala singing off the same hymn sheet or the hymn sheet that you want for your business, for the vision for your business? I'll leave this video now, this topic now, and I will probably revisit. This could be such a valuable insight for you in your life. Thanks for watching. Until next time.